Coming to you from USL headquarters, this is Steele Some Time. Here's the USL's Kelsi Steele.
Welcome on in. Kelsi Steele alongside my guys Scott Stewart, Matt Calvo on the mixer. Steele Some Time, episode 2, week 1 of play is done and dusted. Are you laughing? Why are you already laughing?
I just liked Matt Calvo on the mixer. It hit well.
I'm not on camera because I'm not wearing brown today.
It was good. I enjoyed it. Thank you.
You guys.
Yeah, that's true.
Scott and I went as far to color coordinate for episode 2 of season 2, and we're really stoked about it.
Listen, when you screen the previous 4 calls, you have to pick up on the 5th call. So that's how we got to where we're at today.
I don't understand the joke. Because you saying that you were ignoring me? I don't understand.
Yeah, like I screened your 4 calls, and then you called me a 5th time, and I was like, fine, I'll pick up. And then we coordinated outfits.
Oh, okay. That was a cute joke.
I thought it was pretty good. Please vote in the USL app. Was that good or not? Please don't, actually. Leave me alone.
We'll insert the crickets later.
Yeah, thanks.
Speak of the USL app, she's up and running.
She is. It's actually been very convenient. I thought it's pretty well put together. A couple things to fix, per usual, like with everything, but I like it.
Honestly, it's so nice to be able to have something on hand directly that we can go to at any time of the night and access all of our scores in one place. It's been a pain the last few years to try and go on the web and then trying to refresh everything and get all the scores. Now they're all in one place.
And that goal feed, which I think is crucial.
The goal feed's greek. So week 1. What a time.
Wow.
I can't believe we're already through
what a
it.
week.
Scott, you were not on game coverage this week. I was out in San Diego for their home opener.
Talk to me.
I'll tell you what, it was honestly an incredible trip for many reasons. San Diego, so there are worse places to go, I will say. Food was excellent, but we did a lot of really cool pieces that we're excited to put out over the next few months. Did a really nice sit down with Sal Zizzo and his family's restaurant in Little Italy in Barbusa, which was just really cool. A lot of family history there. A lot of fun facts about Sal Zizzo that not many people will know. So that, if you want to know anything about him, that's going to be the one you have to tune into.
Getting to know Sal Zizzo.
He may or may not have owned a food truck that was outside of the Portland Timber Stadium at one point in time.
Whoa. Okay.
That's just the beginning.
Okay. I'm looking forward to this.
Yeah, it's great. So then obviously talked to Carrie Taylor, and I have a nice piece coming out with Landon Donovan as well. And it was really cool to be on site for history. And, this club, I think what a lot of people don't understand is how quickly that this had to come together. And, we're not talking about just putting a team on the field. We're talking about front office, getting tickets sold. Yeah. We're talking about, activations, everything in the stadium as well. There's so many moving parts to getting a club up and running. And honestly, just over a year and a half, really, of announcing the team. So, hats off to Warren Smith and all of his staff over there. But cannot wait for our trip back out there. And the game itself,
I was going to say, I'm interested to hear about the game. Talk to me about that.
Was really interesting. I think when you're on the other side of it and you're watching a team in training for a few days, you're like, you have to pick out a few things, right? So it's hard. And I talked about it last week of wanting to not put too much pressure on the San Diego side, because I had the pieces there and I was like, they can't be my dark horse because, one, they're an expansion side. We have no idea what they're going off of. And 2, there's just too much of an unknown. And I think with what they had there, they can't be considered a dark horse because they should be good.
Okay.
So it was really, honestly, interesting to watch them interact in training. And there were a few instances that I think one is just so beneficial for people in our offices to see these guys interact. Because, there's so many, they have a really unique situation where they've got a few guys who are fluent in just one language. So just Spanish or just French, so obviously there's a language barrier there. Mm-hmm. And there were a few instances that, we saw different players having to translate for different players. And it sounds so cheesy, but in the moment I was like, wow, this really is the world's game.
I like that.
It was so cool that, all these guys from all these different backgrounds, culture, diverse, everything are all on the same pitch for doing one thing. And I thought that was super special. And of course, so many local guys as well. And, we had a chance to talk to a few of them, Austin Guerrero being one of them. And it's just like, this is something you dream about, being able to be a part of something from the ground up, let alone being part of it from your hometown. You've got Jake Linson, who like this is his dream. He got to start for his hometown club in its very first game ever in goal, and so it was really special to kind of watch those moments leading up to the big show. And but yeah, it's pretty incredible.
I heard Carrie leads the sessions as well.
They split up, which her and
Yeah.
Nate do, yeah. And I obviously I don't know a ton about Nate going into it,
Yeah.
and Calvo and I both left the trip, and we're like, Nate's a cool dude,
Good. Good.
But their dynamic is so special. Like when you watch Nate, Landon, and Carrie interact, they all serve a different purpose, which I know is obviously what the goal is, but it's interesting to watch that form for such a new club in my mind. I mean, I think that Q or somebody was like talking at one point. You might have seen it in a little mic'd up piece, and Nate pretty much told him to shut up. Like, listen, we're trying to go over something right now, and so he shut up. And like a few seconds later, Landon comes over and he's like, "Coach yelled at you." It's just kind of like
diffuse it.
Yeah, like it's just their dynamic was really interesting, and it was nice to kind of watch the team from training onto the pitch. And I think we're going to see a lot of really, really good things out of San Diego. I just think they've got a few kinks to work out. They've got to settle in a little bit.
Look at that cast, though. Landon Donovan, Carrie Taylor, Nate Miller, who did an incredible job in League One last year. You got Shannon McMillan, who's serving as a special advisor. Like, all the pieces are there for this to be an incredibly successful technical staff. Mm-hmm. The soccer side is what I'm extremely interested in seeing, how that technical staff executes and puts the puzzle together. That's what I'm waiting to see.
That game felt weird being there in the outcome, because being in the stadium, when I looked at the stat sheet afterwards and San Diego had gotten outshot, like it was ridiculous.
It's like 21-3.
Yeah, it was pretty ridiculous.
Yep.
Yeah.
And I was like, that doesn't even seem right. It didn't feel that way watching the game.
No, not at all. San Diego was excellent on their small side combinations. I mean, you're talking 2, 3, 4 guys, and those small pieces on the side. Their combinations were fantastic.
I think and I'm really interested to hear what you had to say. I think that the energy and the buzz in the stadium helps a situation like that, even if you're getting dominated, statistically speaking, of course. But what I thought was most remarkable was the crowd's ability to get back in the game after Junior Burgos ended the world with that strike inside 6 minutes.
Dude, what was that?
Dude, I don't even know, but I thought I saw Haley's comment. It turns out I was just waiting for that goal to hit the top left corner. That was unbelievable. I don't know if I can give that guy enough credit for the strike that I saw. I literally turned to the group I was with Saturday and I said, "That's goal of the year." Like, I don't even care. We could shut it down right now and I would be satisfied with that being our goal of the year. The fact that San Diego's crowd got back in it almost immediately too, like, that's a city hungry for soccer. I'm excited for them.
Yeah, hungry is, I think, putting it at the base. Everybody there is so excited. Their supporters group, the locals, were so kind to us and welcomed us with open arms. And I think they're going to be a real asset to the SG community, and really welcoming everyone in. We'll have a nice little piece to go out about them as well. But his goal, it was so, like, we were just getting ready to go. It was like 3 minutes in, and I'm like, wait, did this just happen? And I don't know if you remember, but on the kickoff, they took their shot there too.
Yeah.
So
which is vintage Eric Winola.
Yeah.
Absolutely
so it's not
love that.
super surprising that 3 minutes later something like that happens.
But just the circumstances around the goal. It's a goal kick. It's a 50-50 ball that bounces. Burgos doesn't even think twice. He literally sees it bouncing and he's like, you know what? I'm going to have a punt. The confidence and the audacity of a move like that, I think, is just what makes it even more special. Like, we've seen players score incredible goals in this league, at least since I've been in the last 2 or 3 years. And that one might take the cake for me in terms of just like all the circumstances, just to hit it the way that he hit it, how perfect it landed. Like, poor Fenlison, man, he didn't stand a chance on it. No. It was just, that thing was destined for glory. Unbelievable.
And incredible first ESPN game of the week. I think that's one way to
100%.
One way to start off of 20 or so plus games we're going to see this season. But neither expansion club walk away with a win. In week one, Miami falls and San Diego takes a point away at home. But I mean, if we're looking at week one's play, I don't know how you start anywhere else other than Rafut Dadashov. Hello
hey,
and welcome to the USL Championship, my friend.
Wow. Phoenix was lights out.
Phoenix
literally.
is going to Phoenix.
Yeah, Phoenix was lights out, man. I mean, obviously a sellout. I think it's like their 23rd consecutive sellout. So shout out to them and everybody who packs Casino Arizona Field. They picked up where they left off, and I think it was we've had some conversations internally about their preseason schedule and how seriously they took that and how successful they were in those games. That 6-1 was just a byproduct of every single thing they've done since they lost to the Monarchs at the end of the 19 postseason. And you could tell they were like, hey, we might have lost Adam John, but every question that I had, every question that's been asked of them, they answered almost immediately. I get that it's Portland Timbers too, and T2 finished near the bottom of the Western Conference last year, but if that first performance was an indication of anything, it's that Phoenix has come very much to play this year and might be looking to break even more records.
Is Dadashov the replacement for Adam John?
Gotta be. Absolutely gotta be. And I mean, it was more the quality, and this doesn't take anything away from Dadashov, but for me, it was more the quality of service that came into him than it was anything else. Like,
I wonder who he's talking about.
I know. I started to say it. I won't even say it now. But the service from the wide areas where Dadashov
MVP
was.
pick?
Yeah, maybe. But seriously, I mean, they had everything that they could have wanted that first game minus a clean sheet, and Portland deserved the goal that they got. So
I think it's really impressive. Asante, obviously, with 2 assists and a goal in that game, which is a heck of a night. And if by any means that any book, that's going to be your man of the match, and not when you're against a guy who's got a hat trick.
Yeah, too bad.
I mean, not a bad showing for Phoenix, who has 2 guys in the team of the week. The player of the week being Dadashov. I think they pick up right where they left off, like many of us anticipated.
Yeah, and there's a continuity aspect of this, right? Like, okay, you put a hat trick on and you poured 6 on Portland. What are you going to do against Austin Bold? What are you going to do against some of the more staunch defenses in the league? A lot of questions, but again, going off 1 week, like I'm impressed. I'm waiting. I'm waiting to see what comes.
Austin is gonna have a chip on their shoulders, I think. In that game.
I mean, the way that went down, that penalty shootout, like that won't be lost in the thoughts for sure.
A few other notable wins this week, though. I think you got to look at that Colorado Springs, the Alan Koch era. Of course, he gets his first win over in the Springs. San Antonio,
yes,
whom many of us talked about in this preseason. A lot of eyes were on that club. So again, another first-year head coach, and Alan Marcina. He has his first win of the season over our 2019 title winners. I mean, you can't take that lightly. Yeah,
no, not at all. And I think the Monarchs probably felt the compound of frustration throughout that game. Like, I think they probably kept knocking, but just could not get an answer. San Antonio, very impressive once again. I think that Jose Gallegos played the best pass in the championship this weekend, and I hope you figure out which one that was. But that's just a little Tulsa jab, because they loved that. I think it was DaCosta pass who slid that through, and rightly so. But that's a different qualm. Anyway, yes, San Antonio, very good, very impressive. Good to see them up and running again.
And then, of course, Austin's win over New Mexico, which I think, when you and I talked previously, we kind of thought that New Mexico was going to have a bit of a slow start.
Yeah, and then probably a little bit hard done by at the end of the first half. I think Austin deserves to win this game when all is said and done. The penalty in question is definitely in question for a reason. But, I mean, I think if you're Austin, you still argue we come away with that win more often than not, and I think that's where they are.
I did take away from this matchup, though, is Kalen Ryden fits in nicely on this side.
He's great. He's attacking. He's dynamic. I mean, he fits sort of the look that they're going for, and now it's like when they figure it out, it'll be something to watch. I don't think it'll take them that much longer.
I don't think so either.
Yeah.
Give them a month or so. I think they'll settle in and figure out their form.
Yeah.
One thing that I like to kind of look into for our recaps of the week is what's Scott stewing on this week. We have been playing around with this verbiage for like 4 months, you guys, and I am delighted to finally make its debut on Steele sometime.
I think we hit it.
Scott, what's on your mind?
First off, a get well soon to Nikki Jackson of Colorado Springs Switchbacks FC, who underwent a procedure for his ACL earlier this week. So he is ruled out for the foreseeable future. So get well fast, Nikki. I'm looking forward to your return. On the other end of the field, there's a goal scorer who found himself back in purple this weekend, who I thought, he won him the game. He got him the 3 points. Cameron Lancaster, his return to Louisville, wearing an unfamiliar number 17. That looked a little bit weird, but listen, I thought Louisville, for as good as North Carolina was this weekend, and they were fantastic, I thought it was an incredibly even game, but when you need a guy to make a difference, it's Cam. And he was there when it mattered. Offside or not, I haven't seen the VAR line. I'll have to draw that myself in different angles. But again, the strength of this guy is he's always in the position that you need him to be in. And he probably got a little bit fortunate when it fell to him, but he puts it away. And at the end of the day, if the flag doesn't go up, that goal stands and Louisville wins that game. So I was happy to see Louisville back and running and obviously impressed by North Carolina and Manny Perez especially as well.
I mean, you see Cam's reaction after that goal and you can just tell how much that meant to him.
Yeah, he's back in the goals.
Back in the goals. I mean, but back with his guys as well.
Yeah.
You know, that's a really close-knit locker room and a lot of history there, obviously. And we had a lot of questions for John Hackworth of what the starting 11 was going to look like. And were you surprised that Cam got that shout that early?
No, I wasn't surprised that Cam started. I think there were some other cases for players who could have filled that role. I know Antoine Openo is one of them. But when you have Corbin Bone and Niall McCabe and Brian Ownby in the starting 11, and then you got to play two holding midfielders, right? So you play Napo, who's a hybrid 8. You play Speedy, who's a hybrid 8. I mean, listen, again, they got the job done, and I think that was a really, really difficult first test for them. I think both coaches at the end of the game said something very similar, like, well, they could have won it, we could have won it at the end of the day. It probably deserved a point apiece, but you got a difference maker in your number 17 in purple. So
congrats to Cam. He's back in the purple and gold and back finding the back of the net, which is what that guy
Listen,
tends to
I just
do.
want to be right when it comes to my golden boot prediction, so that's all I'm in this for.
God.
So
You're not right often, so we might as well give you a bone while we can.
she makes a good point, to be fair. I willingly accept that.
The last match I want to talk about from week 1 is Memphis and Indy, which had a little bit of everything. I think when Matt and I were at lunch, I think over in San Diego, and he looked at his phone and he's like, have you seen the score of this Memphis game? And I'm like, oh no, it just started, right? No, what is it? He's like, Memphis is winning 2-0. And I'm like, wait, what? I was like, what?
Yeah, first 15.
Wait a second. What? And I had to like really collect myself for a second there because I was like, that's not the Indy side.
Confirmed. She collected herself.
I did collect myself, and I'm like,
gotta get it together.
Let's like reevaluate what's actually happening here. I was like, the Indy 11 side I know is definitely trying to just get on their feet and get together a little bit here. They're you know they need some time to settle. You know, so I was telling myself, I was like, they're just gonna settle. They're gonna settle, and it'll be fine. It'll be fine. And then it ended up being 4-2, and like, whatever, it's no big deal. But what I thought was really interesting out of the gate here, we're talking about 4 yellow cards in the first 20 minutes.
Yeah.
That's substantial. I mean, it was chippy from the get-go.
Yeah, they went at it for sure.
What is there some sort of like some sort of rivalry here that we're not aware of? I mean, what's the deal?
I'll let both of those clubs answer that question. I just thought both of them went out with a fire, and Indy goes down 2 goals, and they're like, okay, we're certainly not messing around anymore. And Memphis obviously has a point to prove, mathematically barely missing the playoffs last year, and obviously a little bit of a bolstered squad, I think you could say.
Definitely.
So, 2 points to prove, and Memphis lands a couple of early blows. If I'm either one, I'm like, yeah, we're going to be aggressive in this.
Yeah, I think Mark Birch's service to Zach Carroll was absolutely incredible. But what was interesting, if you rewatch that goal, there was no one on Zach Carroll, not even in the vicinity. It was just completely lost on that service. I really have no idea what happened defensively. It was a total breakdown.
Yeah. I just realized I might have lied about something.
Oh, no.
I think that I said Jose Gallegos' pass was the best in the championship. You might want to go back and rewatch Nazmi Al-Badawi's ball from one of the corners.
You're not even listening to what I'm talking about.
No, I'm listening.
But not even related to what you were
I'm listening. I just we had to backtrack real quick. Anyway.
Like every man I have a conversation with.
No, listen, Mark Birch's ball to Zach Carroll was incredible. I don't want to lie to the people and have that like be how we start this season together. So I just figured I'd clear the air. No, listen, Mark Birch's service to Zach Carroll was unbelievable. I thought both Memphis set pieces were incredibly well executed, and that's where we're at.
I'm going to stop waving shiny objects over here so Scott doesn't get distracted anymore.
Anyway, so that was an interesting game. Obviously, Indy kind of gets back to settle in, get back to the way that what we expected, I think, Indy to come out with, and of course, respond with 4 unanswered against one of the best U.S. goalkeepers of all time. One may say. Not necessarily the showing that I think anyone would have expected out of the debut.
That might be a controversial opinion, but I'm listening.
Yeah, I'm just saying I would not have expected Tim Howard's debut to be the game that he lets in 4 goals against Indy 11.
That is the same Indy 11 who you called one of the most attacking, potent sides in the league.
I stand true to that statement.
Okay. I think that because of the circumstances, it was very strange. Like Indy going down 2 goals, I don't think that many people were expecting that. And so I think their 4-goal output unanswered may put a thorn in the side of Memphis a little bit sharper than it could. But listen, I mean, Tyler Pasher, what a performance. Like Iose gets the first goal, and that's great.
Which is
is
incredible.
Yeah, I mean, he hits a bouncing ball first time across the box. It's that technique is unrivaled. But I thought Carl Hayworth was really good. I thought Tyler Pasher was really good. Like once Indy found their feet, once they were like, okay, we're no longer stumbling. Like we took those first 2 hits, like we're firmly planted here. They dug in, and that's what this Indy 11 team can do this year.
I'm excited to watch them play this year.
It's gonna be so fun. And Martin Rennie's reaction at Pasher's equalizer, him just running down the touchline and pumping his fist.
I love that so much. That's
Is
what
this
I want
the
out
Scottish
of a manager,
Mourinho?
man.
I've seen a lot on Twitter calling him the Scottish Mourinho. I'm interested in the origins of that, but B, if we're sticking with that this year, I'm not opposed.
I love it so much. Listen, last one that I want to talk about quickly is the situation in St. Louis.
Situation.
I say a situation because, you guys, we will probably not see this again in the next 5 to 10 years. So, of course, I'm talking...
picking out one play?
One play. Scott, can you guess which one I have my eyes on here?
Yeah, it's probably when Russell Chicharone attempted to take the heads off a couple of Miami defenders on the line there.
So, yeah, okay, the 18th minute, Todd Wharton's on the line and goes to do a goal kick or whatever, taps it instead. So, obviously, hits it again. Whistle down, didn't cross the 18, so it results in an indirect free kick for St. Louis. But what's interesting, like, you don't see this ever. This is such a rare thing to happen. Indirect free kick inside the box, and they nail it. But it was just like the circumstances of the entire play. It does end up on SportsCenter's Snapchat for top 4 plays that night. So it was too weird of a circumstance not to bring up, Scott.
And I hadn't seen the goal live.
How many guys on the line?
All 11.
Oh my God!
All 11.
I think they took people from the stands at one point. They were just putting them on the line.
And if you're Russell, like what else are you gonna do there? Like touch it and then just absolutely rocket it. It paid off. That was a unique moment.
Week 1, she's done.
She's over.
32 to go. I think for the most part, she really delivered, and I think it was nice just across the board to finally have some USL Championship play back.
And Phoenix, once again, top of the overall standings. Like, there's your statement.
Listen, they want it. Someone come for him,
Yep.
you know?
Yep.
Listen, we are super pumped, though, so we're going to move into the next part of the show. Today, we are going to be joined by former USL Championship forward Jochen Graf. Which I'm pumped about. So Graf's 7-year-ish professional career, he was in Germany, Sweden, and then multiple teams here across USL play in the States. But most recently, this past season was with Memphis 901 FC. So now he's retired. But in October, he announced that he'd be retiring from the game and moving into the agency side of things, which is makes sense, a pathway we see a lot of people going. But I thought it'd be really interesting to talk to him, obviously, about his experience, in USL Championship play, but also what that decision's like. When it comes to that moment where you're like, I'm gonna hang up my boots, like the time has come, and moving into that next step of your life. I think. Go ahead.
Well, I heard the boots aren't completely.
Oh yeah. So we'll get there. I'm sure he's
just what I heard.
He loves to talk about that.
A little Sunday League action. So.
But when we get back, Jochen Graf will be hopping into the studio and fill us in life after soccer and how that came about. Jochen Graf joins us now in the studio. Welcome to Steele Some Time, Yacht.
Thank you so much. Thanks for having me. I'm excited to be here.
What's today look like for you in the post-retirement phase of your life? You're not training, so what's going on?
Yeah, I'd love to say that today was just a cup of coffee, wake up, spend some time with the dogs, and relax. But at this point in my life, it's not quite that way. I get out, get after it, and just try to get my day started early. A lot of what I'm doing now is about constant communication and being in touch with what's going on. So yeah, that's kind of how I spend my mornings. I always try to keep myself physically going. I think just turning 30, it's important. It's not like I was unlucky with injuries or anything like that throughout my career. So I try to keep myself in the gym and playing a little bit and stuff like that. So I incorporate that into my day. It's a lot of time on the phone.
And you're completely on the other side of things now. So, fully into the next chapter of your life, as many will say, and working as a sports agent. What do you think surprised you most about working on the agency side of things?
I think it's interesting because as a player, especially when it comes to dealing with agents and clubs, you're kept in the dark a lot of the times. The conversations that are happening, it would just be something that's too much for an agent, especially someone who represents multiple players or has a big client list to keep you up to date with constantly. So I think kind of that I have now the opportunity the curtain's been pulled back and now I'm involved on that side. I think it's really wild just how many texts, how many calls, emails, things that just fly around that as a player you're not really thinking about so much. You're just thinking about, all right, I need to get this deal wrapped up. I need to get this done. But from the agency side, there's so much more that goes into it from a day to day. And I think yeah, that was pretty eye opening just to realize how much goes into even setting a trial or working through a deal. It's intense.
Being a former player, do you feel like you have an advantage in this setting over other agents because you've been in these guys' shoes?
Right. I think it's a blessing and a curse. I think one side of it is that, yeah, guys can tell and guys know me from my time playing and just the connections that you make that, okay, well, this guy, he understands, whatever the situation may be, chances are that I've been in it. So, I'm able to, like you said, put myself in their shoes. On the other side of it, though, it's tough because you see guys going through things and you want to be able to help out. And it's just not always the case. And you can remember a time back in your career where, okay, I was in that exact same position. And I remember waiting for this call or waiting for this to go through and having the idea, okay, this just might not happen. So I think it gives me an advantage, but at the same time, I kind of feel a little bit of that, that burden to really come through for the guys that I'm working with, because like I said, I've been on the other side of the phone and I know it's tough. So I think it helps me out in the long run. The benefits outweigh the negatives. Like I said, I think having that feeling of knowing what they're going through and having been in all these scenarios from their end helps me out. But like I said, there's also that little added bit of pressure where, okay, I know exactly what they're thinking in that moment. And I want to make sure that I can do the most possible, the best possible work that I can in that time.
It's got to be tough because I imagine you have so many friends still playing. This has been your life for the last 10 years.
Oh, yeah.
So have you had to have any hard conversations with any of your buddies to be like, yo, man, I want to help, but right now this isn't my lane, and it is what it is. I mean, that's got to be difficult.
Yeah, no, for sure. I think a big part of it from the beginning I knew was going to be being able to separate that side with the friendship and business part of it, because at the end of the day, you'd be doing a disservice if you weren't shooting things straight. So it's important to kind of keep the lines clear and keep everything above board from that aspect. I mean, there's it's happened a lot where a situation where I would love to be able to help somebody, help them make an impact or whatever the situation may be. And I think the best policy for me from the start has just been, look, this is what I think right away. This is my initial gut reaction. Whether I feel like I'm going to be able to help you or not. And I think people respect that. Guys respect that. And I think at the end of the day, players just want to be shot straight. nobody wants to be kind of in that beat around the bush type of scenario. And I think guys respect that and appreciate that. So that's kind of how I try to operate.
Yeah, I think that transparency is huge, right? In that scenario.
For sure.
Talk to me about that first contract that you secured as an agent. Who was it? Where were you? What was it like? Talk to me about that process.
Yeah, so I want to say the first one I got, it was either the first one or the second one that I got, was Colin Fervers that he signed with New England, the Revs 2 team. And Colin's a terrific young talent. He's got just a really, really great head on his shoulders. And I remember that feeling of having I remember it was like freaking 4 or 5 weeks ago, but looking back on it, the feeling that comes from being able to make the call and be like, listen, man, like, this is the deal. We've got it all wrapped up. It's on its way to your email now. Sign it, and you're going to be good to go. That was a really cool feeling. And like I said, Colin's the type of kid that I was really excited to be able to help out and work with. So that was great. And then, they started to rattle off a little bit there. And like you said, every single one that goes by, you just kind of enjoy it a little bit. It's not quite the same as scoring or winning, but it's a similar feeling. And it's really fun.
It's a different kind of adrenaline rush, right?
Oh yeah, absolutely. And you just kind of, and like I said, being on this side of it so quickly after finishing playing, it's kind of surreal to look at it, because you're just like, okay, like, how did this happen? I really didn't expect stuff to take off as quick as it did, but I'm happy it did. I'm grateful that it did, but I think it was also kind of like a baptism by fire in a sense, because I didn't have the whole season to prepare and talk to players and talk to coaches and be like, keep your eye on this guy. This is what this player does. It was basically the day after I finished my last game, I was on the phone with PJ and discussing whether this was something that was going to work out for both of us, and luckily it did. But yeah, it went quick.
So many athletes struggle during that transition time, frankly, because, ball is live. But seriously, how did you prepare yourself for what was next? I imagine, obviously you talk about it being a quick transition, but at some point you knew that this was ending. It was time for a new chapter. How does an athlete, prep themselves for what's next?
I don't think you can really, obviously you can have ideas and plans about what you want to do. I think the best way to go about it is just being really proactive. I kind of came to that final decision maybe with 2 months, 2.5 months left in the season, where I was like, all right, look, my priorities in life are different now, what I want to do and what I plan on trying to achieve in the future. So what's going to be the best way to go after that. And I think, one part of it is obviously staying involved in the game. This type of transition is one that I think it's not easy, but at the same time, I'm still talking to all my buddies, I'm still watching, I'm still involved. And I think that helps the transition a lot. But like you said, it's tough. I think it's a decision that it's not that it's made, you can't just consciously say, okay, I'm ready to quit playing. It has to be a different combination of things that kind of give you that feeling. All right, you know what, I was super fortunate. I played for a really long time. I avoided a lot of, I don't have long-term issues that I know of, knock on wood. Like, I was hit in the head plenty of times, but who knows, like that'll be for a later date, I guess. But, I got out pretty unscathed, and I thought, all right, this is, I've gotten everything I've wanted out of this chapter, and, the game gave me a lot. So let's see what kind of impact I can make in a different capacity. So even though you can never really be like, all right, I'm ready, I want to be done, I think I had that feeling where I could be comfortable and confident with my decision.
What were those conversations like at the time with your Memphis 901 teammates when you said you finally came to terms with it? It's time to hang out the boots, because you retired before the season was actually over as well. So what was that? What was that like when you approached them and it was like, hey guys, this is going to be the end of the road for me?
I try to keep most of it to myself. A couple of my close friends, obviously, just like anything else, you want to have conversations and bounce things off of those guys. So I did that. I think as I got closer to the end of the season, I didn't want to rock the boat too much. We were in a situation where we were still pushing and trying to get into the playoffs, and the team was in a good way for how we were feeling and how everyone was feeling about what we were trying to accomplish. So, I didn't want to make too many waves. I just wanted to kind of go about my business and try to make the most out of every day. Because obviously, like you said, I knew that it was going to come to an end. So, I mean, what came after that, having the conversation with the club and Mulqueen and it was incredible. I really didn't expect what I got out of it from Memphis. I was there for a year, but obviously it was an important year for the club, being the inaugural season and the way the city took the team in, and those last 2 weeks and the last days, and especially the last game. I mean, I'll remember it for the rest of my life. I just can't believe how incredibly lucky I was to have a send off like the one I had. And I think the moments in the locker room after the game were probably some of my favorites and memories that I'm really going to cherish.
So tell me, you're in your first full year of retirement now, watching many of your best friends out there still on the pitch. What's that like for you? Are there calls up after the game? Like, you got what were you doing there in the 73rd minute, dude?
Oh yeah, I mean, those calls existed anyway, so it just gives me a little bit more time to be right on it. I'm really excited, watching guys get after it this year. There's a few teams with obviously players that I'm working closely with that I'm excited about how things are going and how things are going to progress. And then obviously, like you said, close friends that I have that are playing at some really, really great clubs across the league. I'm loving every second of that. So it gives me a lot more time to watch and to enjoy, but also, like you said, part of it's business as well. So I'm keeping close tabs on players of my own and players that I look to work with. So it's a weird feeling, but it's also, like I said, it's a different kind of rush and a different kind of buzz, which I'm really enjoying.
You may be retired, quote unquote, but word on the street is the boots aren't truly hung up just yet. I hear you have partaken in a Sunday league.
Oh yeah, got to get involved a little bit. We're lucky here in Florida. The soccer scene here is really vibrant, from the youth all the way up. And so, I had a few calls come in once the word got out that I was going to be hanging it up and living down
like
here.
Being recruited all over again.
Luckily I landed with a solid club. Yeah, worked out my own contract down there. So case of beer after every game and a couple of fun goal bonuses and whatnot. Just something casual, but it's great to get out. It's important, I think, to have that outlet, especially when you quit playing. You can, that hole that it creates, you can miss that a lot. But I think having the opportunity to be around like a really cool group of guys and become friends, and it's all the stuff you get from playing professionally that you really, really enjoy those moments with the boys in the club and whatnot, and those moments on the field, those are still there. So I'm lucky I ended up in a good situation, and I'm enjoying it. It's different, but it's fun.
Yak, what level of play are we talking here? We talking, 20, 25-year-olds, guys fresh out of college? Are you going at it with guys?
Yeah. I had a couple opportunities, and I think, maybe still at some point I might moonlight for a couple games at a certain level. But, for the most part, I've been playing with a club called Rowdiest SC, coincidentally. And they have two teams in the club, right? So one team is kind of like the late 20s, 30s guys that like to just get out and play. It always, just like anything else, it can always get a little bit chippy, but it's not too bad. But then there's also the team above them that play at a little bit of a different level, and those are all, we're talking 20-year-olds, guys that are coming in hot every minute of every game. So I got asked to go out and play with them a couple times, and I've done it. And at first I was like, this isn't for me. I could just get kicked. Guys want to come out and show that they can hang on the same field as you. They want to take shots at you, and they really man up. And I'm like, this is too much for a Sunday morning. Maybe I got a little hangover going on or something. I don't know. It's just like, this isn't for me. So I mix it up. I get out with the guys, and then every once in a while I'll go out and mix it up with the young guns that fly around and see how it goes.
I absolutely love it. Post-professional Jochen Graf in the studio with us today. Yak, appreciate your time, the insight, everything, as always. Just love chatting with you.
Awesome, Kelsi. I've appreciated it. Love being on with you guys anytime. We're always listening to Steele sometime and watching Off the Post and all that good stuff. So we love the content. Keep it up.
Appreciate it, Yak. You take care and be safe with those young kids out there.
I will. If you have any numbers for PT clinics in Tampa, send them on over because I don't get free healthcare anymore. So.
Got it. Take care, Yak. Appreciate it.
All right, guys. Thanks. Bye.
Hi, I'm Leo Fernandez, player for the Tampa Bay Rowdies, and you're listening to Steele Some Time.
We're back on in to steal some time. Huge thank you to Jochen Graf for joining us. Always a pleasure to chat with Jochen. Obviously got to know him a little bit during his time here in Tampa. But they can't help themselves when it comes. The cleats are never officially up. Let's be real.
You got to stay active somehow. I just love that he's willing to get up and play anywhere because he's being forced to play.
He loves it. You know he can't.
He's got to.
Like,
yeah,
he can't help it. Shout out to Yak. Thanks for joining us. Yeah. Looking forward to obviously chatting here in the future. Let's talk social moment of the week, though. So we touched on it a little bit earlier in the podcast. Memphis had a new face on the pitch, not necessarily to the organization. That, of course, would be Tim Howard coming out of retirement to join the 18. But let's talk about this because he made his announcement on March 4th. Mm-hmm. And then they played on the 7th. Mm-hmm. So is it retirement was a whole week and a half?
About.
Yeah, so
But what? When did he announce that he was done? Was that at the end of the year with Colorado?
I think, I think so.
He had a little taste and didn't like the way it tasted and decided he wanted to give it another go.
He sent it back.
I think it's so funny because there is so much speculation around whether or not Tim Howard was going to play. And I think a lot of people were like, yeah, watch, he'll come and he'll play. And then when he actually did it, we were like, oh my God.
He's doing it.
He's actually doing it. And of course, some of the replies on social have just been hilarious. I mean, this is an owner. This is not a normal circumstance.
Signed himself.
Literally, did Timmy just sign himself? Some of these are, and of course, you've got some banter in here about the Brummies and Tim Howard being scared of the Brummies. So I would personally like to ask for some Brummie Tim Howard banter. Let's get this going. Okay. I think Timmy would welcome it with open arms.
I think he would too. I think he's seen his range certainly of banter already. On the performance itself, really hard opening game, Indy 11. I think we'll see some incredible saves from Tim Howard when he's in action still. I think he's still capable of doing something special. But I think Saturday definitely put the spotlight on him, and that was a tough performance when the microscope's there.
Do you think we'll start to see more of a Didier Drogba role where he's, kind of in and out?
I think time will tell. I mean, it depends on He was quoted in SI, shout out Brian Strauss, welcome back. He was quoted in Strauss's article as saying that he's never been all in on a project like he has this one. I don't know if that means that it'll come to a point where he steps aside and he starts focusing more on a macro level than the micro on the field playing level, but I genuinely think that the beauty of this situation for us fans is it could go any direction. He could start every game, he could maybe never play again. We don't know what this looks like, but that's kind of the cool part about following this tale is we know Tim Howard's involved on multiple levels of the club, and we saw what Saturday looked like, and now I'm looking forward genuinely to seeing what the rest of Memphis' season looks like.
I mean, we've got to reflect quickly what a time to be in the USL Championship sphere.
100%.
You've got, Eric Winalda, Landon Donovan, Tim Howard, people who obviously truly do care about this game.
This isn't a PR stunt for any of these people. No. Like Landon, hyper-focused on San Diego. Eric, hyper-focused on Vegas, trying to make them a winning squad. Mm-hmm. Tim Howard invested on multiple levels. This is significant for the championship because this isn't fluff. This isn't cloud. These are people who want to make a difference in their communities, and at the end of the day, that's what this is all about.
We talked to Landon Donovan when we were out there, and he said he flat out said, I didn't have to do this.
Correct.
Yeah, I was going to straight up ask him, be like, you could be chilling with your kids right now, instead you're out here every day, all day, putting in time. You've had such a successful career. What else do you need? Yeah,
this is a guy who woke up at 4 a.m. because he couldn't sleep because his team had a noon scrimmage with themselves.
I can't with that.
What a come on, man. I love that, though. That is what is going to drive success in San Diego, in Vegas, in Memphis, and You don't have to be a national team legend to make that impact. We have it in almost every single one of our communities.
We'll see in week 2 if they can get that first win.
100%.
Elsewhere in week 2, let's talk a little bit about the games we're looking at this week. Which one specifically comes to mind, Scott?
It's the Florida Derby. I don't know what they're calling it. I don't know if there's a formal name for it.
Is it Derby or Derby?
It's Derby.
I need to lobby right now for the Cuban Sandwich Cup.
It's happening.
I like that.
Yeah.
The Cuban Sandwich Cup.
I would gladly judge that competition.
Yeah.
I'll take one for the team.
100%. We'll send her down to Miami. Get it on film.
I'm here to do what it takes, truly.
Naturally.
Anything for the USL.
Naturally. 100%.
Miami, Tampa Bay. It's a matchup we've all been looking forward to. I think Miami looking for their first win. Tampa Bay, obviously, with the 1-0 win on the road over in CFC. They continue that trek on the road. I think this one's going to be interesting. Miami came out very antsy, it felt like, in week 1. So I'd be interested to see how they're two very different style of plays also. So I'm interested to see kind of how those two are going to stack up against each other.
Old friends and now new enemies. And Miami is certainly going to be desperate for 3 points. Tampa Bay got an incredible result on the road at New York. Leo Fernandez's goal lifting them. I think Tampa Bay takes this one.
Yep.
Maybe 3-0. I think there's a lot of potential for them to do some damage here.
Seba on the board.
Hopefully Kyle Murphy's fitness test is okay. He was off after a half an hour, but I still want to see what Tampa Bay looks like at full strength. But that would imply that Juan Tejada on the field is not them at full strength, and it certainly is. So there's a lot of playmakers in that squad. He's just like a little tornado. He just won't stop moving. It's incredible.
Energizer Bunny.
Yeah, it's incredible.
Elsewhere in week 2, I'm really looking forward to Birmingham and Charleston.
Yeah.
For first and foremost, because we haven't got to see Birmingham yet. And there has been so much talk about this Eastern Conference side and what Nico Brett is going to be able to bring to this unit. I am so stoked. And obviously Charleston coming off a win against Atlanta on Sunday. So I think Birmingham at home as well is really exciting for them. Would not expect anything less than a sellout for that crowd. They're hungry. They're ready for soccer back in that city. And I think there's a lot of pieces on that Birmingham side that could make for a real contender in the Eastern Conference.
And just two clubs in very unique situations right now. Like Charleston, fresh off the rebrand, they got a good win. They're building up the momentum to Patriots Point in their home opener. Birmingham, who had J.J. Williams and then lost J.J. Williams and then had him again and then lost him again, but still has Nico Brett and Brian Wright, an incredible cast behind them. This one has potential.
My last one I'm ticking for this week is Memphis and St. Louis. Solely because I have no idea what the heck is going to happen this week. St. Louis looked good in week 1. Hello, St. Louis. They're coming off of that 4-1 win over Miami. Absolutely just ran through that side. I mean, is that a matter of Miami just coming together and working through the Kings being a new expansion side? Or is it, on the other side of it, is St. Louis a club that we should have been paying a lot more attention to?
Can it be a little bit of both?
I knew you were going to say that. I can't ever get a direct answer out of you.
I think it's a little bit of both.
Yeah.
To answer it directly. Yeah, to answer directly.
Yeah.
No, I mean, genuinely, though, like I think Miami, that was as rough as it could get. But they got a goal, so that's important. St. Louis, that was about as perfect as it could get. I mean, we know Russell Chicharone, how dangerous he is. Tyler Blackwood, how dangerous he is. They've got some playmakers. They've got Sam Fink. New head coach, a lot of momentum in that way. Yeah, I think that this could be just a weird game.
I agree.
That's where I'll leave it off.
It was one of our games on Pick'em, and I'm like, you could wake up every day for the rest of the week, and this game would change.
Yes,
you know,
100%.
Like that's why it's like picking this has nothing to do with stats or who's on the field, anything like that. Is going to be a toss-up, I think.
Yeah, but this is just a question. You can answer it now. You don't have to. You can sit on it. You can do whatever you want. But do you think that teams who come to AutoZone Park specifically target Tim Howard because they know, okay, Tim Howard is in goal. I want to score on that guy.
How do you not? Honestly, like how do you not? I think that's a big part of it. I mean, you talk to guys about Open Cup, like championship teams playing MLS teams in the Open Cup. They're going at these MLS teams because they want to prove a point.
So, thank you for that answer, by the way, because it leads me into the follow-up of, Does Tim Howard signing with Memphis hurt them more than it helps them?
No, because when the grand scheme of things come around, you need to sell tickets.
Okay.
And I think
That's a
Tim
valid
Howard is
answer.
going to sell tickets.
That's a very valid answer.
It shouldn't. Like, teams should come at them with the same intensity no matter who's in goal,
In theory.
right? And you have one of the best goalkeepers of all time in goal.
Well, and I'm sure Memphis would argue this provides just as much of an edge for them as it would anybody else. I am maybe of a small minority that thinks that when you tout the target on your back, the people are going to be more likely to hit it.
Agreed.
We'll see.
We'll see. Week
Long
2
year.
headed our way. Those matchups as well as Tacoma and San Diego get us going on Wednesday. But we're looking at another full slate here in week 2.
Can't wait.
Can't
We're
wait.
finally back.
We're going to end the show this week with shots fired,
Oh,
which
that's
we
right.
unfortunately were not able to bring you in week 1 because Scott and I couldn't shut up.
Yeah.
So Matt Calvo, I'm going to let you do the honors.
I've been waiting for this for,
So
for at
is
least
she.
We
at
might
least
be
a week.
rusty.
For at least a week.
Good.
So I'm going to preface this by saying any resemblance to any person's real and currently living is totally coincidence. But I want you guys to listen to a scenario. Imagine yourselves in a scenario. And that scenario is that you are widely considered the number 1 overall prospect in the sport. And for this case, let's say professional football. And the draft is coming up. And theoretically and hypothetically, the team that holds said number 1 pick in the draft is a team that you may not want to play for. This is all hypothetical, by the way. You don't want to play for the team that holds the number 1 pick. You are the presumptive number 1 overall pick. What do you do? How do you go about handling yourself?
I'm triggered.
This is totally hypothetical, Kelsi.
This is more you lost me at imagine you being a top prospect. I tried.
I did say hypothetical.
Yeah, I tried really hard.
Do you
That's-
do you accept your lot in life? Do you work through back channels? Do you publicly come out and say, like, what is your course of action?
I mean, you want me to
Cool.
go?
So she'll go
Hypothetically.
first,
You want me to go?
Hypothetically, Kelsi, are you ready?
She's going to go.
Yeah, I'm going to go.
Go.
Yeah, this isn't that difficult. You are on the verge of becoming a millionaire. Let's think about that for a second. You're going to change lives. In this particular situation where you have the opportunity to change other people's lives in your home state, especially of a very impoverished town that's just 2.5 hours away, why would you not take that opportunity? Also, 3, this area is where your parents can watch you play for the better half of the year in person, every single game. That's huge. 3, you get to fulfill a lifelong dream of being a professional athlete. Why would you not do it?
Time. I think you took that more directly. I said it was all hypothetical.
It
Kelsi.
sounded
I don't know.
super hypothetical.
I was super targeted.
Super specific.
Whatever. I
on
have
the
been
case.
ready for that though. Like I think over the last 5 months of my life have just been prepping for that argument. And in a month, I'm gonna see dreams fulfilled, and not just Joey Burrows, mine as well.
Man.
Yours of Joey Burrow. Kelsi, for the past
I don't even
4
know,
months,
man.
has been referring to Joey Burrow as her quarterback.
I have been, yeah. He is.
Can I get like 10 more seconds just to
That's
prep?
fine. I can talk more
prep
about
what I'm
Joey
thinking,
Burrow. I have
please?
no problem doing that.
But I don't know why you took this to Joey Burrow. I said it was all hypothetical.
It sounded super hypothetical. Andy Dalton's going to go to Chicago, and it's going to lay out that red carpet for Joey. He's not even going to have a mentor. He's just going to run into it.
Was there anything in your question about the hometown?
I just said it's an organization you don't want to play
It's an
for.
organization you don't want to play for. right?
Whatever other circumstances that Kelsi wanted to add to that because she felt it was specific were on Kelsi.
All right.
Are you
Argues
ready?
up.
Yeah.
Go.
I think without owing anything to that organization as an athlete, you don't owe them anything. They don't owe you anything. So I think it would be more publicly acceptable for you to, I don't know if I would go outright and be like, hey, I refuse to play for this organization unless that was your absolute last resort. I mean, it's not just saving face. It's also being like a decent human being about it. But I think that in some way, shape, or form, you could come to an agreement with either the organization or with the league. Like, hey, if you draft me, I'm not going to play for you. That makes it pretty easy for that organization.
Time. So you're like back channel.
Yeah, I mean, you work through your agent, you inform the organization, like, hey, this is just not happening. It's never going to happen. You're not going to change my mind. I don't care what happens.
Not the Eli.
Why I
not
didn't
the
feel
Eli
like
Manning.
any passion in that argument.
If the writing
at
is on the
all.
wall, then it's on the wall. But if he had said hometown, then I think my answer would have changed slightly. Like if the Pacers were like, hey, we're going to draft Scott Stewart #1 overall, and I was like, I don't know if I want to play for the Pacers, but it's my hometown, that's different.
He's had many dreams. To be fair,
So many dreams.
Cincinnati Bengals has never been a club that Joey Burrow supported. He was a Saints fan, Browns fan.
Again, you're making this very specific to
Sorry.
a hypothetical scenario.
I'm just using real life examples.
Listen, if the writing's on the wall, but they don't know how to read, that's on them.
All right. Kelsi, I'm going to give you a win on this one. Because I suspect you might be needing them.
Oh. I feel like you can't say that. You're the judge.
No, I don't mean in the context of steal some time. I just mean in the specific context that you applied to my hypothetical.
You don't think we're going to take Joey Burrow? I'm going to riot if we don't. That's fine.
Watch this space.
Scott sits
Mark-
across from me and I'm just going to throw paper.
Dude, I'll be
balls
terrified.
Mark
Everyday
the
prayer.
tape.
Steal some time. Episode 2. She's in the books. Kelsi's got her first win of the season. She's already referring to herself in third person. That's how far we've come.
Absolutely flying.
Absolutely
I
flying.
love third person Kelsi.
Every Tuesday, we'll catch you guys in this space. See you in week 3.